Carlos Miyagi's mop hit something under the examination table in room 4. He bent down, his 60-year-old knees protesting, and pulled out a crumpled candy wrapper. Peanut M&Ms. The empty bag still had chocolate smears inside. His blood went cold. Room 4 was Dr. Helena Krueger's private examination suite, the one reserved for her most severe allergy patients. The room where EpiPens lined the walls like ammunition. The room where a single peanut could allegedly trigger death, and someone had eaten an entire bag of peanut M&Ms in here. Carlos looked at the appointment schedule taped to the hallway wall. Room 4's last patient, Lily Bourne. 2 p.m. Severe peanut allergy, anaphylaxis risk. The same little girl who'd been coming here twice a week for 6 years. The same child whose file had a red, life-threatening sticker. The same 8-year-old who supposedly couldn't be in the same room as a peanut without her throat closing. Carlos stared at the wrapper in his hand. Either someone was trying to kill Lily Bourne, or Dr. Helena Krueger had been lying for 6 years. Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Unbroken Truths. I am so glad you found this story today, because what I'm about to tell you is going to make your blood boil and your heart soar at the same time. Drop a comment right now and tell me where you're watching from. Are you at home? On your lunch break? Maybe listening while you cook dinner? I want to know my Unbroken Truths family is out there. And listen, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, do it right now, because this story is about to expose something that could be happening to families in your community. This isn't just entertainment. This is a warning. This is the story of an 8-year-old girl who lived in fear of food for 6 years. A billionaire father who would have paid anything to keep her safe. A doctor who weaponized that love for profit. And a janitor who discovered that sometimes the most valuable witness is the one nobody notices. Let me tell you about Carlos Miyagi, a man who thought his job was cleaning floors, but who ended up cleaning up one of the most twisted medical frauds in history. Carlos had worked as a night janitor at the West Side Allergy and Immunology Center for 3 years. It was honest work, quiet, solitary, beneath the notice of the doctors and nurses who swept past him like he was furniture. He preferred it that way. At 62, after a lifetime of construction work that destroyed his back, janitorial work was all he could manage. The pay was terrible, but it came with health insurance and the kind of invisibility that let him work in peace. But invisibility had its advantages. Carlos saw things, heard things, things people said when they thought no one was listening, like how Dr. Helena Krueger always scheduled her severe cases for the last appointments of the day after most of the staff had gone home, like how she always handled those cases personally, no nurses, no assistants, just her and the patient behind closed doors for exactly 90 minutes, like how she had 17 severe allergy patients, and every single one of them belonged to wealthy families, tech executives, celebrities, old money, new money. Every patient is a gold mine. Lily Bourne was one of them. Carlos had seen her twice a week for 3 years, a tiny thing with auburn hair and gray eyes that were always scary. She came with her father, Nathan Bourne, founder of Technova Industries, worth an estimated $4.2 billion according to Forbes. Nathan Bourne looked exactly like you'd expect a grieving tech billionaire to look. Exhausted, desperate, carrying the weight of being unable to save his daughter with all his money and power. "Is she getting better?" Nathan would ask Dr. Krueger every single visit, his voice raw with hope. "These things take time," Dr. Krueger would say, her smile practiced and professional. "Lily's case is extremely severe. We're doing everything we can." Then she'd lead Lily into room 4, close the door, and emerge 90 minutes later with new test results, new restrictions, new medications, and a new bill. Carlos had done the math once, out of curiosity. Twice weekly appointments for 6 years at $850 per visit, plus medications, plus emergency EpiPens, plus specialized testing. Dr. Krueger had made over $500,000 off one 8-year-old girl, and Lily wasn't getting better. If anything, she was getting worse. Carlos had watched her shrink over the years, watched her become quieter, more withdrawn, more terrified. She couldn't go to school, dangerous, Dr. Krueger said. Couldn't go to birthday parties, couldn't eat at restaurants, couldn't live like a normal child. Her list of allergens had grown from 5 items to 47. Peanuts, tree nuts, shellfish, dairy, eggs, soy, wheat, strawberries, tomatoes, corn, rice, beef, pork, chicken. The list went on and on. Lily ate a rotation of 6 safe foods: plain turkey, white potatoes, carrots, green beans, apples, and water. That was it. That was her entire diet. Nathan Bourne had built a specialized kitchen in his home, hired nurses trained in anaphylaxis response, installed medical-grade air filtration systems, created a bubble for his daughter to survive in, all based on Dr. Krueger's tests, Dr. Krueger's diagnoses, Dr. Krueger's recommendations. And now Carlos held a peanut M&M's wrapper that had been in the same room as the girl who would supposedly die if she smelled a peanut. Carlos's hands were shaking. He pulled out his phone, the cheap prepaid one his daughter had given him, and took a photo of the wrapper. Then he carefully placed it in a plastic evidence bag he swiped from the storage closet, wrote the date, time, and location on it. He didn't know what he was going to do with it yet. But something was very, very wrong in room 4. That night, Carlos couldn't sleep. He kept seeing Lily's scared gray eyes, kept thinking about Nathan Bourne's desperate hope, kept wondering how many peanut M&Ms that tiny girl had eaten. At 3 a.m., he got up and did something he'd never done before. He Googled Dr. Helena Krueger. What he found made his stomach turn. Dr. Krueger was a leading expert in severe pediatric allergies. She published papers, spoken at conferences, built a reputation as the doctor who could handle the impossible cases the children other allergists gave up on. She had a 94% patient retention rate. Children stayed with her for years, some for over a decade, but almost none of them ever got better. Carlos dug deeper, found parent forums, support groups for families of children with severe allergies, and there, buried in a thread from 2 years ago, he found a comment that made his blood run cold. Has anyone else noticed that Dr. Krueger's patients never seem to outgrow their allergies? My daughter saw her for 4 years and only got worse. We switched doctors and the new allergist said her test results didn't match her symptoms. We did new tests and found out she was only allergic to 3 things, not the 23 Dr. Krueger claimed. I feel like we wasted 4 years of my daughter's childhood. 17 replies followed. 17 families with the same story. Children who got worse under Dr. Krueger's care. Parents who switched doctors and discovered their children weren't as allergic as they'd been told. Test results that didn't make sense. Bills that never stopped growing. One parent wrote, "I asked for copies of all my son's test results to get a second opinion. Dr. Krueger's office lost them, all of them. 6 years of testing, gone." Another, "My daughter's new allergist said the IgE levels in Dr. Krueger's reports were medically impossible. She said either the tests were contaminated or they were fabricated." Carlos sat back from his computer, his heart pounding. Dr. Helena Krueger wasn't treating severe allergies. She was creating them, or at least creating the illusion of them. And tomorrow, Lily Bourne had another appointment. Carlos arrived at work the next evening with a plan. A dangerous, possibly illegal, probably stupid plan. He was going to find out the truth. At 7:45 p.m., after the last staff members had left, Carlos positioned himself in the supply closet across from room 4, left the door cracked just enough to see. At 8 p.m., Nathan Bourne arrived with Lily. The little girl looked exhausted, clutching her father's hand like a lifeline. Dr. Krueger greeted them with her professional smile. "Hello, Lily. Ready for your tests today?" Lily nodded silently. She never spoke anymore. Carlos had noticed that over the years the girl who used to ask questions had become mute with fear. "Nathan, you can wait in the lobby. This will take about 90 minutes. "Can I stay?" Nathan asked like he did every time. "Just to. Patient privacy is important," Dr. Krueger said firmly. "Lily is more relaxed without parental anxiety in the room, you understand." Nathan hesitated, then kissed his daughter's forehead. "I'll be right outside, baby. If you need me, just call." Lily watched her father leave, fear flickering across her small face. Then Dr. Krueger led her into room 4 and closed the door. Carlos waited 5 minutes. Then he moved. The medical center had security cameras, but Carlos had studied them for months. There was a blind spot between the supply closet and room 4's door about 6 feet where the camera angle couldn't reach. He crept forward, his phone recording, and pressed his ear to the door. "Hungry?" Dr. Krueger's voice, surprisingly warm. Nothing like her clinical tone with Nathan. "Yes." Lily's voice was small and scared. What would you like today? I have Skittles, M&M's, Oreos, pizza rolls. Carlos's world tilted. Can I have the M&M's? Lily asked. The peanut ones? Of course, sweetheart. Here you go. Silence. Then the sound of a package crinkling, chewing. Good girl. Eat as much as you want. I'll do your fake test now, okay? Just like always. Close your eyes and hold still. Okay. More sounds. Medical equipment. Dr. Krueger hummed softly. Then, Lily, remember what we talked about. You can't tell your daddy about our snacks. This is our secret, because if you tell him, he won't let you come see me anymore, and then you won't get to eat all these yummy foods. Understand? I understand, Lily whispered. But why can't I eat them at home? Because your daddy thinks these foods are dangerous, Dr. Krueger said. But we know better, don't we? We know you're special. These foods are fine for you when you're here with me, but dangerous at home. That's why it has to be our secret. Carlos's hands were shaking so badly he almost dropped his phone. Dr. Krueger was feeding Lily everything she was allergic to and lying to Nathan about the test results. Will I ever get to eat normal food at home? Lily asked, her voice small and heartbreaking. A pause. Then Dr. Krueger's voice, cold now. Probably not, sweetheart. You're too valuable. Carlos pulled back from the door, his heart hammering. He had everything he needed on recording. But when he turned around, Dr. Krueger's head nurse Sarah stood in the hallway, staring at him. What are you doing, Carlos? She whispered. Carlos froze. Then Sarah's expression crumbled. Oh God, you heard, didn't you? You knew? Carlos breathed. I suspected, Sarah whispered, tears in her eyes. For months, but I have student loans, a sick mother. I need this job. She broke down. I'm a coward. You're a witness, Carlos said. And right now we need to decide if we're going to let that little girl keep living in a cage, or if we're going to burn this place down. Sarah looked at the door to room 4, at the little girl eating forbidden foods behind it, at the lie that had stolen 6 years of her childhood. Then she pulled out her phone. I'm calling Nathan Bourne, she said, and then I'm calling the police. You'll lose your job, Carlos warned. Then I'll finally be able to sleep at night, Sarah said, and she made the call. Wait, Dr. Krueger has been feeding Lily her deadly allergens for 6 years while lying about tests? This child was never allergic? Comment now. How is this even possible? And what do you think Nathan is going to do when he finds out? Nathan Bourne burst through the door of room 4 exactly 4 minutes after Sarah's call. What he saw destroyed him. His supposedly deathly allergic daughter, sitting at the examination table with a half-eaten bag of peanut M&Ms in her lap, chocolate on her face, no hives, no swelling, no anaphylaxis, just a little girl eating candy. Daddy? Lily's eyes went wide with fear. Nathan's face went from confusion to realization to pure rage in 3 seconds. What is this? Dr. Krueger stood calmly, already crafting her lie. Nathan, this is a controlled exposure therapy. I was about to explain. Exposure therapy? Nathan's voice shook. You told me a single peanut could kill her. I can explain. 6 years, Nathan roared. 6 years of watching her starve. 6 years of terror. 6 years of her not being able to go to school, have friends, live a normal life. He looked at Lily, his voice breaking. Baby, how long has she been feeding you this stuff? Lily started crying. I don't know, Daddy. She said it was our secret, that you'd be mad if you knew. Nathan's hands balled into fists. You manipulated my daughter. You made her lie to me. I was treating her, Dr. Krueger said coldly. And unless you want to explain to the medical board why you're interfering with doctor-patient confidentiality, I have it all on video, Carlos said from the doorway, holding up his phone. Everything. The candy, the lies, the threats, all of it. Dr. Krueger's professional mask finally cracked. You're a janitor. Your testimony means nothing. But mine does, Sarah said, stepping forward. I'm a licensed nurse, and I'm prepared to testify that you've been falsifying test results for at least 18 months that I personally witnessed. You're fired, Dr. Krueger hissed. Good, Sarah shot back. Nathan pulled Lily close, his hands shaking as he checked her over. No reaction, no symptoms. His daughter had just eaten an entire bag of peanut M&Ms, her supposed deadly allergen, and she was fine. Perfectly, completely fine. How many? Nathan's voice was deadly quiet. How many children have you done this to? Dr. Krueger said nothing. How many? Nathan roared. 17 active patients, Carlos said quietly. I found the files while you were on your way. All wealthy families. all severe cases that never get better, all being seen twice weekly for years. Nathan's phone was already out, dialing. "This is Nathan Bourne. I need my legal team at Westside Allergy Center immediately, and get me the district attorney, now." Dr. Krueger moved toward the door. Carlos blocked her path. "You're not going anywhere," he said quietly. "You can't hold me here. I'm a doctor." "You're a fraud," Nathan said, his arm around Lily. "And you're going to pay for every single day you stole from my daughter." Within 20 minutes, the medical center was swarming with police, lawyers, and Nathan's security team. Dr. Krueger sat in her office, stone-faced and silent, waiting for her attorney. Carlos sat with Nathan and Lily in the waiting room. The little girl was eating Oreos now, another deadly allergen with no reaction whatsoever. 6 years, Nathan whispered, watching his daughter eat. "She's been fine this whole time." "Not fine," Carlos said gently. "Traumatized, manipulated, isolated, but not allergic." "My wife died of anaphylaxis," Nathan said, his voice hollow. "Real anaphylaxis. Bee sting when Lily was 2. I watched her die in minutes." He looked at Carlos. "That's why I believed Krueger, because I knew allergies could kill. I saw it happen." "She weaponized your grief," Carlos said. "She stole my daughter's childhood," Nathan corrected. "And I let her. I paid her $500,000 to torture my child." "You didn't know," Sarah said quietly, joining them. "She's been doing this for over a decade. She's perfected the con." A detective approached. "Mr. Bourne, we need to ask Lily some questions, gently, with you present." Nathan nodded, then turned to Carlos. "Thank you. If you hadn't..." His voice broke. "Thank you." "I just cleaned the floors," Carlos said, "and found something that didn't belong." "You saved my daughter," Nathan said firmly, "and I'm going to make sure every family she's hurt knows what you did." As they led Lily away for questioning, clutching her Oreos like a lifeline, Carlos looked at Sarah. "Are you ready for what comes next?" he asked. "Unemployment? Probably a lawsuit from Krueger?" Sarah smiled grimly. "Worth it." "Maybe not unemployment," a new voice said. They turned. A woman in an expensive suit stood there, an FBI badge visible. "I'm Special Agent Chen. We've been investigating Dr. Krueger for medical fraud for 6 months. We just didn't have enough evidence." She looked at Carlos's phone. "Until now, that video is exactly what we need." "There are more?" Carlos asked. "Dozens of doctors, hundreds of children, all the same pattern. Wealthy families, fabricated severe allergies, years of unnecessary treatments." Agent Chen's jaw tightened. "It's an insurance fraud network worth over $50 million annually, and you just handed us our smoking gun." Carlos looked at the closed door of room 4, where Lily had eaten her forbidden foods in secret for years. "How many children?" he asked quietly. "We think over 300 nationwide," Agent Chen said. "All living in fear of foods that can't hurt them, all isolated from normal life, all making doctors rich." Sarah made a sound of horror. "But now we can stop it," Agent Chen continued. "Because of you two, the janitor and the nurse who refused to look away." Carlos thought about his simple life, his invisible job, his quiet existence, and realized that sometimes being invisible means you see everything. Dr. Krueger is part of a national network, 300-plus children, $50 million in fraud. How many doctors are doing this right now? Dr. Helena Krueger made bail in 6 hours, $5 million posted by someone the FBI couldn't immediately trace. By morning, she was gone. Carlos got the call from Agent Chen at 4 a.m. She vanished. The passport was flagged, but she never went through any airport. We think the network is hiding her. "What about the other doctors?" Carlos asked, already getting dressed. "We arrested 3 yesterday, but 4 others disappeared before we could reach them." Agent Chen's voice was tight. "Carlos, I need you to be careful. This network has billions at stake. They won't." A crash downstairs cut her off. Carlos's heart stopped. He lived alone in a small house. There shouldn't be any noise. "Someone's in my house," he whispered into the phone. "Get out. Now. I'm sending units." Footsteps on the stairs, heavy. Multiple people. Carlos ran for his bedroom window, phone in hand. Got it open just as his door burst inward. 2 men in dark clothing, no faces visible. One grabbed Carlos before he could climb through. "The video," the man said. "Where's the backup?" "Cloud," Carlos gasped. "Already uploaded. The FBI has it. Killing me changes nothing." The man's grip tightened. "Wrong answer." Then police sirens screamed outside. The men cursed, released Carlos, and ran. By the time police cleared the house, they were gone. Carlos sat on his porch, shaking, while officers took his statement. Agent Chen arrived 20 minutes later. "They're cleaning up witnesses," she said grimly. "Sarah's under protection now. Nathan Bourne has private security. But you—" "I'm nobody," Carlos said, "just a janitor." "You're the janitor who destroyed their empire," Chen corrected. "That makes you very dangerous to them." Her phone buzzed. She answered, listened, and her face went white. "What?" Carlos asked. "Lily Bourne, she's been taken." Nathan Bourne's house was chaotic, police everywhere. Nathan himself was a hurricane of fury and terror. "She was in her room," he roared. "Private security, cameras, alarms. How did they get her?" Agent Chen pulled up security footage. It showed Lily's window at 2:47 a.m. Someone had rappelled down from the roof, a blind spot in the camera coverage, and gone through her window. In and out in 90 seconds. "They left this," a detective said, handing over a note. Nathan read it, his hands shaking. Then he handed it to Carlos. "Drop all charges against Dr. Krueger. Retract all statements. Destroy all evidence. You have 24 hours, or Lily develops real allergies, permanently." "What does that mean?" Nathan whispered. Agent Chen's face was grim. "There are ways to induce actual allergic reactions. Repeated exposure to allergens mixed with certain adjuvants. If they do it right, they could make her legitimately allergic to everything Krueger claimed. It would take weeks of treatment to reverse. If it could be reversed at all. They'd torture my daughter to cover their tracks?" Nathan's voice broke. "They've already tortured 300 children for profit," Chen said. "This is just self-preservation." Nathan sank into a chair. "So what do I do? Let Krueger walk free? Let this network keep destroying families?" "No," Carlos said quietly. "We will find Lily first, then we bury them all." "How?" Nathan demanded. "They're ghosts, professional criminals with medical degrees." "They're not ghosts," Carlos said. "They're arrogant. They think a janitor and a nurse can't touch them." He looked at Agent Chen. "The network communicates somehow, coordinates how?" "We've been trying to crack that for months," Chen admitted. "What about Dr. Krueger's office?" Sarah asked, appearing in the doorway with her FBI escort. "She has files, patient records. She must have contact information for the network." "We seized everything," Chen said. "It's all encrypted." "What about the trash?" Carlos asked. Everyone looked at him. "I'm a janitor," Carlos said. "You'd be amazed what people throw away when they think it's just garbage." "We didn't secure the medical center's dumpsters," Chen realized. "We focused on digital evidence." "Then let's go dumpster diving," Carlos said. 2 hours later, in the medical center's back alley, Carlos pulled a crumpled paper from a garbage bag. A handwritten note, partially burned but still readable. "Emergency protocol activated. Move Package 7 to Location B. Await further instructions. HK." "Package 7, Nathan breathed. "That's Lily. That's my daughter." "Location B," Agent Chen said, already on her phone. "Cross-reference with Krueger's known properties, associates, anything." "Wait," Sarah said. She was staring at another piece of trash, a medical supply order form. "This shipping address, it's not the clinic. It's," she looked up, "it's a private residence, 20 minutes outside the city." Agent Chen was already moving the tactical team now. Nathan grabbed Carlos's arm. "Come with us, please. You're the only one who's been right about everything." Carlos looked at this billionaire begging a janitor for help. "Let's go get your daughter," he said. "Lily's been kidnapped. They're going to give her real allergies to cover their tracks." The house was dark when they arrived. Too dark, too quiet. Agent Chen's tactical team surrounded the property, an isolated estate with high walls and no neighbors for miles, perfect for hiding a kidnapped child. Thermal imaging shows 3 adults, 1 child-sized heat signature in the basement, the team leader reported. The child appears stationary. "Is she moving at all?" Nathan demanded, fear raw in his voice. "Minimal movement, could be restrained or sedated." Nathan started toward the house. Carlos grabbed his arm. "You go in there emotionally, you get her killed. Let them do their job." "That's my daughter, and they know that," Carlos said firmly. "They're counting on you being reckless. Don't give them what they want." The tactical team breached in silence, flashbangs, shouting, then gunfire. Nathan lunged forward. Agent Chen held him back. "Wait, clear," came the shout from inside. They ran. The basement was a makeshift lab, medical equipment, vials of allergens, injection supplies. and in the center, strapped to a medical chair, was Lily. The 8-year-old was unconscious, an IV in her arm. Her skin was already showing signs of reaction hives forming on her arms. "They've already started," a medic said, checking the IV bag. Oh God, this is concentrated shellfish protein mixed with an adjuvant. They're trying to sensitize her." "Get it out," Nathan roared. The medic removed the IV while another called for an ambulance. "She needs antihistamines, steroids, possibly epinephrine." "Do it," Nathan commanded. 3 people were in custody, 2 medical technicians and a doctor Carlos didn't recognize. Dr. Krueger wasn't among them. "Where is she?" Agent Chen demanded, getting in the doctor's face. "Where's Krueger?" The man smiled coldly. "Gone. Out of the country by now. You'll never find her." "Then you're going down for kidnapping and attempted murder," Chen said. "I'm a doctor following treatment protocols," he said smugly. "My lawyers will have me out by morning." Carlos walked over and looked at the man, then at the vials on the table. "These are the allergens you were going to inject her with," Carlos said quietly. "Shellfish, peanuts, dairy, bee venom." He picked up a syringe. "Concentrated enough to kill an adult and enough to sensitize a child," the doctor corrected. "Not kill. We're not monsters." "You're worse," Carlos said. "Monsters kill quickly. You steal lives slowly." He noticed something on the medical cart, a laptop still open. The doctor's eyes flickered toward it. Carlos looked at the screen. An encrypted chat was open, and one message had just come through. "Package 7 compromised. Initiate Protocol Omega. Eliminate all evidence including subjects." "Subjects," Carlos read aloud. "Plural. There are more children." The doctor's smug expression faltered. "Where?" Nathan grabbed the man by his coat. "Where are the other children?" "I don't know what you're." Nathan slammed him against the wall. "My daughter almost died." "Tell me where they are or I swear to God, Nathan," Agent Chen warned. 4 locations, the doctor gasped. 4 other children from high-value families. Insurance if Lily didn't work. He looked at his watch. "You're too late. Protocol Omega started 15 minutes ago." Agent Chen was already on her radio bed. All units had 4 additional kidnapping victims at unknown locations. Subjects are children, currently being injected with concentrated allergens. "We need," her phone rang. She answered, listened. Her face went ashen. 2 children just arrived at hospitals via anonymous drop-off. Both in anaphylactic shock, both critical conditions. She looked at Nathan and Carlos. "We're out of time." "The laptop," Sarah said suddenly. She was quietly examining the computer. "The chat, there are location coordinates embedded in the metadata." "Can you get them?" Chen asked. "Already done." Sarah's fingers flew across the keyboard. "Sending them to you now. 2 locations, 20 minutes apart." "Split the teams," Chen ordered. "Go. Now." As tactical units scattered, the doctor laughed bitterly. "You're still too late. Even if you save them physically, the damage is done. Those children will have real allergies now. Severe ones. For life. We win either way." Carlos looked at Lily unconscious, broken out in hives, her body fighting the poison they put in her. "You didn't win," Carlos said quietly. "You just guaranteed life in prison, for all of you." The ambulance arrived. Nathan climbed in with Lily, refusing to leave her side. Before they closed the doors, he looked back at Carlos. "Please, help them find the others." Carlos nodded. As the ambulance raced away, Agent Chen turned to him. "You don't have to come. You've done enough." "Those kids are scared and alone," Carlos said, "and somebody needs to be there who gives a damn. Let's go." They found the first child, a 6-year-old boy in an abandoned clinic, already seizing from the injections. The EMTs barely stabilized him in time. The second child, a 9-year-old girl, was in the back of a van, dumped on the side of the road. Alert but in respiratory distress, she survived. By dawn, all 4 additional children were in hospitals, critical but alive. The 2 who'd been dropped at hospitals earlier weren't as lucky. One died en route. The other survived, but with permanent damage, her throat so scarred from the reaction she needed a tracheostomy tube for life. 7-year-old Maya Torres. She was one of Dr. Krueger's patients for 4 years. Her mother arrived at the hospital and collapsed when she learned the truth that Maya had never been allergic to anything until the network decided to silence her. Carlos sat in the hospital chapel, exhausted, haunted by the face of a little girl who would never breathe normally again. Sarah found him there. They arrested 11 more doctors. The network is falling apart. Everyone's turning on each other for immunity deals. Good, Carlos said hollowly. And Lily? Sarah asked. Stable. They counteracted the allergen exposure in time. She'll have mild sensitivity for a few weeks, but she'll recover. He paused. Maya Torres won't. Sarah sat beside him. You saved 5 children, Carlos. 5 children who would be dead right now. 6 children were taken, Carlos said. I only saved 5. You're a janitor, Sarah said gently. Not God. You did everything you could. It wasn't enough, Carlos whispered. His phone buzzed. Nathan, Lily's awake. She's asking for you. Carlos stood, bones aching, heart heavy. Come on, Sarah said. A little girl wants to thank her hero. I'm not a hero, Carlos said. Heroes save everyone. Heroes try, Sarah corrected. Even when it costs them everything, even when they can't save everyone, they still try. Lily was sitting up in her hospital bed when Carlos entered, Nathan beside her holding her hand. The hives had faded, and color had returned to her cheeks. But her eyes, those gray eyes that had been filled with fear for 6 years, looked different now, aware-free. Mr. Carlos, she said softly, Daddy told me you're the one who found out Dr. Krueger was lying. Carlos nodded, sitting in the chair beside her bed. I found a candy wrapper. That's all. That's everything, Lily said. She looked at her father. Can I tell him? Nathan's jaw tightened, but he nodded. Lily turned back to Carlos. Dr. Krueger used to tell me that if I ever told anyone about the snacks, something bad would happen. She said my daddy would get so angry he'd send me away, that I'd never see him again. Oh, baby, Nathan's voice cracked. I believed her, Lily continued, tears streaming down her face. For years I believed her. I thought eating normal food was wrong, that I was bad for wanting it, that I had to keep the secret or lose everything. She looked at Carlos. You didn't just find a candy wrapper, Mr. Carlos. You found my voice, the one I lost. Carlos felt his own eyes burning. I'm so sorry for what happened to you. Don't be sorry, Lily said fiercely. Be proud. Because of you, I get to eat pizza at school. I get to go to birthday parties. I get to have friends. She paused. I get to be normal. A knock at the door interrupted them. Agent Chen entered, her expression grim. Nathan, Carlos, we need to talk, now. They stepped into the hallway. Chen pulled up her tablet, showing them financial records. We've been tracing the money from the network, the payments to Dr. Krueger and the others. We found the source. She paused. It's not like the pharmaceutical companies like we thought. Then who? Nathan demanded. Insurance companies, Chen said. Specifically, one massive health insurance conglomerate, Medicare Solutions. They own 40% of the private health insurance market in the U.S. Carlos's blood went cold. Why would insurance companies pay doctors to create fake illnesses? Wouldn't that cost them more money? That's what we thought too, Chen said. Until we dug deeper. Medicare Solutions has a subsidiary, a pharmaceutical distribution company. They make money on both ends. They collect premiums from families, then they profit from selling the medications the doctors prescribe. The sicker they keep people, the more they make. Nathan couldn't finish the sentence. That's billions of dollars in fraud, Chen said. Over 15 years. 300 children were just the pilot program for what they're calling chronic patient development. They were planning to expand to adults, create patients who need lifetime treatment for conditions they don't actually have. Jesus Christ, Nathan whispered. It gets worse, Chen said. The CEO of Medicare Solutions, Dr. Helena Krueger's older brother, Richard Krueger, she wasn't just a participant in this network. Her family created it. Carlos felt sick. How far up does this go? We're still investigating, but we've found evidence of bribed FDA officials, bought-off medical boards, and falsified research studies. Chen's hands shook slightly. This isn't just medical fraud. It's systematic corruption of the entire healthcare system. And Dr. Krueger? Nathan asked. Still missing. But we tracked her brother. He's scheduled to testify before a Senate Committee on Healthcare Reform next week. He's been positioning himself as a champion of patient rights. Chen's laugh was bitter. Meanwhile, he's been orchestrating the largest medical conspiracy in American history. We need to stop him, Nathan said. We need to. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered on the speaker. Hello, Mr. Bourne. The voice was female, cultured, cold. Dr. Helena Krueger. You bitch, Nathan started. Please, let me speak. You'll want to hear this. There was rustling, then another voice came on the line. A child's voice. Terrified. Daddy, help me. Nathan's face went white. That's not possible. Lily is right here. Not Lily, Dr. Krueger said, coming back on the line. Her half-sister. Did you really think your wife only had one child, Nathan? The world stopped. What are you talking about? Nathan's voice was barely audible. Your late wife, Rebecca, had a daughter before she met you, living with foster parents in Oregon under a different name. Her birth name? Emma Bourne. Dr. Krueger's voice was poisonous honey. And I have her. I've had her for 3 days now, since before you rescued Lily. You're lying. I'm sending you a photo. Check your phone. Nathan's phone buzzed. He opened the image and nearly dropped the device. A little girl with Rebecca's auburn hair and gray eyes identical to Lily's sitting in a medical chair, terrified, an IV line already in her small arm. No, Nathan breathed. Here's what's going to happen, Dr. Krueger said. You're going to retract every statement, withdraw every charge, tell the FBI you made a mistake, that you were an hysterical father who misunderstood treatment protocols. I'll never. Then Emma dies, slowly, painfully. I'll inject her with every allergen I have. I'll document her suffering, and I'll send you videos of every moment. You're a monster. Nathan choked out. I'm a businesswoman, Dr. Krueger corrected. And you're in my way. You have 6 hours to decide. Justice for the children I've already hurt, or saving the daughter you didn't know you had. The line went dead. Nathan sank against the wall, the photo still on his screen. Rebecca had another child before we met. She never told me. Agent Chen was already mobilizing. We can trace the call, triangulate the location. You have 6 hours, Nathan said hollowly. That's not enough time. Then we make it enough, Carlos said firmly. He looked at the photo on Nathan's phone, studied it. This medical chair, I've seen this exact model. Where? Chen demanded. In Dr. Krueger's private office, the one she never let staff enter. Carlos closed his eyes, remembering. There was a door in the back. She always kept it locked, said it was storage. You think she's still at the medical center? Sarah asked, appearing in the hallway. That's insane. We searched that place. Did you search the sub-basement? Carlos asked. Everyone stared at him. What sub-basement? Chen said slowly. The building was built in the 1950s. It used to be a TB sanitarium. They had isolation wards underground. Carlos's eyes widened. I found the sealed entrance once, years ago, behind a false wall in the storage area. I thought it was just old construction. But what if she's been hiding there the whole time? Chen finished. Right under our noses. Nathan was already running for the elevator. Then let's go get my daughter. As they raced toward the medical center, Carlos's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You're smarter than I thought, Janitor, but you're not smart enough. Come alone, or the girl dies. HK. Carlos showed it to Agent Chen. It's a trap, she said immediately. Of course it's a trap, Carlos agreed. But that little girl is down there, and if we go in with tactical teams, Krueger will kill her before we get close. So what do you suggest? Nathan demanded. Carlos looked at the medical center looming ahead of them in the pre-dawn darkness. I suggest, he said quietly, that a janitor goes in to clean up one more mess, and you all be ready when I flush her out. Carlos, you're not trained for this. I'm invisible. Carlos interrupted. I've been invisible my whole life. Let me use that one more time. Agent Chen studied him for a long moment, then nodded. You get 5 minutes, then we breach whether you're out or not. Fair enough, Carlos said. As they pulled up to the medical center, Carlos felt the weight of every decision that had led him here, from finding a candy wrapper to storming into hell itself to save a child he'd never met. He thought about Lily, finally free, about the 5 children rescued, about Maya Torres, who would never breathe normally again, about Emma Bourne, who was waiting in the darkness for someone to save her. Carlos Miyagi had been invisible for 62 years, but tonight he will be seen. And Dr. Helena Krueger would finally understand that the most dangerous witness is the one nobody notices until it's too late. Dr. Krueger has Nathan's secret daughter, hidden for years, and she's underground in the medical center. The medical center was dark and silent at 4 a.m. Carlos entered through the service entrance, the door he used 1,000 times, key still on his ring. No alarms, no guards, just darkness and the echo of his footsteps. He made his way to the storage area, past shelves of supplies, to the back wall where he found the sealed entrance years ago. The false wall panel looked undisturbed, but when he pressed against it, it swung open silently. Someone had been using this entrance. Recently. Stone steps descended into blackness. Carlos pulled out his phone for light and started down. The sub-basement was exactly as he remembered from the one time he'd glimpsed it as a relic from the 1950s, when this building had been a tuberculosis sanitarium. Isolation rooms with reinforced doors, observation windows, medical equipment long abandoned, or so he'd thought. Now, lights glowed at the end of the corridor, and he could hear voices. Carlos crept forward, every instinct screaming that this was wrong, this was a trap, turn back. But he thought of Emma, 4 years old, terrified alone. He kept moving. The voices grew clearer. Dr. Krueger's cultured tone speaking to someone on the phone doesn't care what the FBI thinks they know. By the time they trace anything, I'll be in Switzerland with enough money to live like royalty for the rest of my life. Carlos reached the doorway and looked inside. Emma sat in a medical chair, crying silently. An IV line ran to her arm, but the bag was empty, not yet activated. Dr. Krueger stood with her back to the door, phone pressed to her ear. And beside her, holding a gun, Sarah. Carlos's world shattered. Sarah, the nurse who helped him expose the conspiracy, who risked her job, who called Nathan Bourne, who was with them every step of the way. She met his eyes and smiled coldly. "Hello, Carlos," she said, "right on time." Dr. Krueger turned, ending her call. "The invisible janitor. I've been waiting for you." "Sarah?" Carlos couldn't process it. "You helped us. You." "I helped you just enough to be convincing," Sarah said. "Did you really think a nurse with six-figure student loan debt would throw away her career for nothing? Dr. Krueger promised me $2 million to be the inside witness, to make sure the investigation went exactly where we wanted it to go." "The evidence," Carlos breathed. "The files you found, the locations. Fed to you carefully," Dr. Krueger said. "We gave you just enough to feel like you were winning. Meanwhile, we moved our real assets offshore, destroyed actual evidence, and prepared our escape." She smiled. "You didn't expose a conspiracy, Carlos. You performed exactly as scripted. The children in the hospitals. Necessary sacrifices," Sarah said coldly. "Low-value patients whose families couldn't afford to keep paying anyway. We cut them loose. But the real network, the one serving billionaires and politicians, still running, still profitable." Carlos felt sick. "Maya Torres died because of you. Maya Torres died because she was poor," Dr. Krueger said bluntly. "In our business, only profitable patients survive." Emma whimpered in the chair. Carlos's eyes went to her. "Let her go," he said. "She's innocent in this." "She's leveraged," Dr. Krueger corrected. "Nathan Bourne will do exactly what I tell him, or I activate this IV and his secret daughter dies in front of him. I'll make sure he watches on video call. The FBI is upstairs." "No, they're not," Sarah said. "I texted Agent Chen from your phone 15 minutes ago. Told her you found evidence that Emma is actually at a different location. They're halfway across the city right now." She held up Carlos's phone. "You dropped it in the chaos. Didn't even notice." Carlos's hand went to his pocket. Empty. He was completely played. "So here's what happens next," Dr. Krueger said, walking toward Emma. "You're going to call Nathan Bourne. Tell him to drop every charge, retract every statement, and wire $20 million to an offshore account. Then I'll release Emma." "You'll kill her anyway," Carlos said. "Probably," Dr. Krueger agreed. "But you'll make the call anyway because you're a hero, and heroes always choose hope over reality." She pulled out a syringe filled with clear liquid. "Hold it up to the light. Concentrated shellfish protein, enough to send this child into anaphylactic shock in under 30 seconds. Without epinephrine, she'll die in 4 minutes, painfully." Dr. Krueger's smile was poisonous. "Make the call, Carlos, or watch another child die because you weren't fast enough." Carlos looked at Emma, tears streaming down her small face, gray eyes wide with terror that mirrored Lily's. He looked at Sarah, gun trained on him. He looked at Dr. Krueger, syringe in hand, and he made a choice. "No," he said quietly. Dr. Krueger's smile faded. "Excuse me?" "No," Carlos repeated. "I won't make the call." "Then she dies." "If I make the call, she dies anyway," Carlos said. "You said it yourself, so no. I won't give you Nathan's money. I won't give you your escape. I won't give you anything." "You're condemning a 4-year-old to death," Sarah hissed. "You already did that," Carlos said. "I'm just refusing to be part of your theater." Dr. Krueger's face twisted with rage. "Fine. Then watch." She moved toward Emma with the syringe. Carlos lunged, He was 62 years old with a bad back and no combat training. Sarah was younger, armed, and had the advantage of surprise. But Carlos had spent his entire life being invisible, being underestimated, being dismissed, and he learned that sometimes the smallest actions have the biggest impact. As Dr. Krueger's hand descended toward Emma's IV port, Carlos grabbed the medical cart beside him and shoved it with all his strength. It crashed into Dr. Krueger, knocking her sideways. The syringe flew from her hand, shattering against the wall. Sarah fired. The bullet caught Carlos in the shoulder, spinning him around. He crashed to the ground, pain exploding through his body. But he bought seconds, and sometimes seconds are enough. Emma, terrified but brave, ripped the IV line from her own arm and ran. "Stop her!" Krueger screamed. Sarah turned to chase the child. In that moment of distraction, Carlos kicked out with his leg, catching Sarah's ankle. She went down hard, the gun skittering across the floor. Dr. Krueger ran after Emma, disappearing into the dark corridors of the sub-basement. Carlos tried to stand, but his shoulder was bleeding badly. The room swam. He could hear Emma screaming somewhere in the darkness. Could hear Dr. Krueger's footsteps echoing. Sarah was getting up, reaching for her gun. Carlos's vision blurred. He failed Emma by running blind through a maze of abandoned rooms with a murderer chasing her. He was shot and bleeding out. The FBI was across the city. He saved 5 children, but he was going to lose the 6th. Darkness crept into the edges of his vision, then footsteps running multiple people. "FBI, hands up!" Agent Chen burst into the room, weapon drawn, tactical team behind her. "Carlos!" She was at his side immediately, applying pressure to his wound. "Hold on! Medic!" "Emma!" Carlos gasped. She ran. Dr. Krueger went after her. Sarah was already in handcuffs, protesting loudly about illegal search and seizure. "We got your real message," Chen said. "The one you left on Lily's hospital room voicemail before you came in." Smart thinking. Carlos had done that? He couldn't remember. Everything was fading. "Find Emma," he whispered. "Please." "Already on it," Chen said. The tactical team spread out into the sub-basement. Carlos heard shouting, running, then a child's scream cut short. "No," Nathan's voice raw with anguish, coming from somewhere above them. He must have followed the FBI. Then silence. Terrible, absolute silence. A tactical officer appeared in the doorway, his face grim. He shook his head. Agent Chen closed her eyes. "No," Carlos whispered. "No, no. We found Dr. Krueger," the officer said quietly. "She had Emma cornered in one of the isolation rooms. When we breached," he paused, "she injected her, the whole syringe. By the time we got there..." Nathan appeared in the doorway, and Carlos knew from his face that it was over. Emma Bourne, age 4, was dead. The daughter Nathan had never known he had, gone before he could even hold her. "She's not breathing," Nathan said, his voice eerily calm. Shock. "They're trying to revive her, but she's not breathing." Carlos felt something break inside him. After everything, all the investigation, all the courage, all the sacrifice, he still failed. 6 children were taken, 5 saved, 1 dead, and it was his fault for not being fast enough, smart enough, strong enough. The darkness closed in completely, and Carlos welcomed it. Emma is dead. Sarah was the traitor. Carlos is shot. Everything they fought for, gone. Carlos woke up in a hospital bed, sunlight streaming through the window. His shoulder was bandaged. An IV ran to his arm, and sitting beside him was Nathan Bourne, holding a little girl's hand. Emma's hand. Carlos blinked, certain he was hallucinating. "You're dead." "I'm not dead," Emma said indignantly. "They saved me." Nathan's face was transformed, exhausted but radiant with joy. The tactical medic had epinephrine. He administered it within 45 seconds of the injection. She stopped breathing for 2 minutes, but they brought her back. "She's alive," Carlos whispered. "I'm alive," Emma confirmed, "and Dr. Mean Lady is in jail." Carlos felt tears streaming down his face. "I thought I lost you." "You saved me," Emma said. "You pushed the cart and made her drop the needle, and I ran and the police found me." Agent Chen entered with a tablet. "Carlos, you need to see this. While you were unconscious, we got Sarah to flip. She gave us everything. Offshore accounts, client lists, the entire network infrastructure. She pulled up documents, financial records, names, locations. 43 doctors across 12 states. Over 800 children were affected over 15 years. And the CEO of Medicare Solutions, Richard Krueger, was arrested this morning trying to board a private jet to Switzerland. "It's over?" Carlos asked. The network is destroyed, Chen confirmed. Dr. Helena Krueger is in custody, charged with kidnapping, attempted murder, medical fraud, and conspiracy. She's looking at life in prison, multiple life sentences. And Sarah? 20 years minimum. She's cooperating for a reduced sentence, but she's done. Chen smiled. You did it, Carlos. You brought down a billion-dollar criminal empire. Nathan squeezed Carlos's hand. You saved my daughters, both of them. Daughters? Carlos repeated. Emma is Rebecca's biological child from before we met. She gave her up for adoption because she was only 16. She never told me because the shame was too much. Nathan's voice thick with emotion. But she's mine now. The adoption is being fast-tracked. Lily is going to have a sister. Emma beamed. I get to have a family. We all have a family, Nathan corrected, looking at Carlos. All of us, including the janitor who refused to look away. 6 months later, the federal courthouse was packed for the sentencing hearing. Dr. Helena Krueger sat stone-faced as the judge read the charges. 17 counts of child endangerment, 8 counts of kidnapping, 4 counts of attempted murder, 1 count of conspiracy to commit fraud, and over 300 counts of medical fraud. Your actions represent the worst betrayal of medical ethics in modern history, the judge said. You weaponized the trust between doctor and patient. You tortured children for profit. You created a criminal enterprise that damaged hundreds of lives. Maya Torres's mother stood to give a victim impact statement, her daughter beside her in a wheelchair, the tracheostomy tube visible at her throat. My daughter will never breathe normally again because of you, she said, voice shaking. You did this to her to cover your crimes. You stole her voice, her childhood, her future. Lily Bourne stood next. You made me afraid of food for 6 years. You made me lie to my father. You stole my sister from me before I even knew she existed. Her voice was strong, clear. But you didn't win, because I'm here. Emma's here, and we're not afraid anymore. The judge turned to Dr. Krueger. Do you have anything to say? I was treating patients according to established protocols, Dr. Krueger began. Enough, the judge interrupted. I sentence you to 25 consecutive life sentences without possibility of parole. You will die in prison, Dr. Krueger, and the world will be safer for it. As guards led her away, Dr. Krueger's eyes found Carlos in the gallery. You're just a janitor, she hissed. I'm the nobody who destroyed you, Carlos said quietly. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Nathan gave a statement about the Nathan Bourne Foundation, which had now expanded to help families affected by medical fraud nationwide. We've assisted over 200 families. We've funded independent medical reviews. We've pushed for legislation to prevent this from ever happening again. He pulled Lily and Emma close. And we've created a scholarship fund in honor of Carlos Miyagi for people who've been invisible their whole lives but refuse to stay silent when they witness injustice. Carlos stood to the side, uncomfortable with the attention, until Emma ran over and grabbed his hand. Come on, Mr. Carlos. You're family. You belong in the picture. And so Carlos Miyagi, a 62-year-old janitor, invisible man, accidental hero, stood surrounded by the family he saved and the families he helped heal. The photo made the front page of every major newspaper. The caption read, "The janitor who saved 800 lives." 1 year after the sentencing, Carlos stood in a community center gymnasium watching Emma and Lily, now 5 and 9, play with dozens of other children. Children who'd been freed from fake diagnoses. Children who were eating normally, playing normally, living normally for the first time in years. The annual Freedom Festival had become a traditional celebration for families affected by the medical fraud network. Beautiful, isn't it? Nathan said, joining Carlos with 2 cups of coffee. Miraculous, Carlos agreed. The foundation helped another 40 families this quarter, Nathan said. Kids who were being kept sick for profit. We caught it early because of the protocols you helped develop. I just cleaned the floors, Carlos said. You cleaned up corruption, Nathan corrected. There's a difference. Sarah Chen, the FBI agent, not the traitor nurse, appeared with her own children. Carlos, come meet my kids. They wanted to meet the famous janitor. I'm not famous. You're literally in textbooks now, Chen laughed. Criminal justice courses use your case as an example of citizen investigation. You're famous whether you like it or not. Maya Torres rolled up in her wheelchair, her mother beside her. The 7-year-old could speak now slowly, carefully, through her permanent tracheostomy, but she could speak. "Mr. Carlos," she said, her voice raspy but determined, "I wrote you a poem, for saving everyone." She handed him a crayon-drawn card. Inside, in careful child's handwriting, "Heroes don't need capes or swords. Sometimes they just need to hear the words that no one else can hear and see what no one else can see. Thank you for seeing me." Carlos's throat tightened. He knelt beside her wheelchair. "Thank you, Maya. You're the brave one." "We're both brave," she said, smiling. As the sun set, families gathered for a group photo. 800 people whose lives had been touched by one janitor's refusal to look away. Nathan put his arm around Carlos. "I never thanked you properly, for everything. You gave me a purpose," Carlos said. "That's enough thanks." "Actually, I gave you a job," Nathan said. "Director of Patient Advocacy for the Nathan Bourne Foundation. Full salary, benefits, and a staff of 12. Someone has to run this operation." "Nathan, I'm a janitor." "You're the man who saved my family," Nathan said firmly. "You're the man who exposed a billion-dollar conspiracy. You're the man 800 families trust with their lives." He paused. "And you're my friend. Say yes." Carlos looked at the gymnasium full of children playing, eating, laughing. Free. He thought about candy wrappers and invisible witnesses and the power of one person who refuses to stay silent. "Yes," he said. Emma and Lily ran over, each grabbing one of Carlos's hands. "Come dance with us," Emma demanded. "I'm too old to dance." "Nobody's too old," Lily insisted. And so Carlos Miyagi, former invisible janitor, current hero, future director of patient advocacy, let two little girls pull him onto the dance floor. Around him, 800 families celebrated life, health, and freedom. Above him somewhere, he liked to think Rebecca and Catherine were watching, smiling, proud. "Thank you," Nathan said quietly, watching his daughter spin Carlos in circles, "for giving me back everything I thought I lost." "Thank you," Carlos said, "for reminding me that being invisible doesn't mean you can't be seen." That night, as the festival ended and families headed home, Carlos stood alone in the empty gymnasium, a janitor again, cleaning up. But this time, he was cleaning up the remnants of joy, of celebration, of healing. His phone buzzed. A text from Agent Chen, "New case, possible medical fraud targeting foster children in Nevada. Could use your expertise. Interested?" Carlos smiled. Once upon a time, he'd been invisible. Now he was exactly where he was meant to be, seen, valued, making a difference. He texted back, "When do we start?" Because the world was full of people who needed someone to notice them. And Carlos Miyagi had learned that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to look away. From a candy wrapper to saving 800 lives, from invisible janitor to hero, from one child in danger to hundreds of families free. If this story moved you, smash that like button. Subscribe to Unbroken Truths for more stories that prove one person can change everything. Share with someone who needs to hear that their voice matters. Comment below. Have you ever witnessed something wrong and had to choose between staying silent or speaking up? Your courage could save lives. Remember, heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they carry mops. Sometimes they're invisible, until they're not. Thank you for being part of this journey. Your story isn't over. Keep watching, keep believing, keep being unbroken.